Oh, hello. Today we're going to talk about the Chaos Mortals kill teams, that is to say, the non-Space Marine Chaos kill teams, as they were previewed on Games Workshop a few days ago now. So we're going to start with the Blooded. So the Blooded ability is unchanged. Works exactly the same. We got a brand new piece of equipment, so I'll read that one out. The Symbols of Bloody Worship. Whenever a friendly blooded operative ends an action, if it wasn't incapacitated but inflicted damage on any enemy operatives during that action, it regains one lost wound. So yeah, as long as you've hurt somebody at the end of your action, you can gain a lost wound. It's a pretty minor buff, a pretty situational buff, but it is like team wide, so it's really hard to judge these equipment things in a vacuum, because obviously the biggest thing with equipment is that you've got to look, as I've probably said before on a bunch of the other videos, you've got to look at all the equipment available, and then you're picking the 4 or 5, potentially with the scouting option, best equipments. But this doesn't seem too bad, like it's a thing. You probably gain some wounds from it over the course of a game. Yeah. Bitter Demise is a new strategic ploy. So, whenever a friendly blooded operative is incapacitated, roll 1d3. On a 3, or a 2 if the operative has one of your blooded tokens, inflict damage equal to the result on one enemy operative visible to and within 2 inches of that friendly operative. So I don't like this, partially because it's a strategic ploy, so you have to be there in the strategic ploy phase going, I reckon that one of my guys is going to die this turning point, while he's within 2 inches of somebody. And sure, sometimes you will know that because you'll see that you've got a guy locked in engagement range with somebody and they'll be waiting to do a fight action. But it's still, it would almost be better as a tactical ploy, or I should say, a firefight ploy. But I realise that would make it worse if it was a tactical ploy. I also don't like that you have to roll, and that if you roll a 1 or a 2, if you haven't got a blooded token, it does nothing. So, yeah, a bit of a miss to me in terms of spending a CP. Okay, let's move on. So the data card we're served up is the Traitor Ogryn. So no real changes here to the Ogryn, except that you can now do mission actions, but you have to pay an additional action point to do so, excluding the Operate Hatch mission action, which you can do for the normal 1 AP. So a nice change to the Ogryn. Might see some. I don't think I've ever played against a Chaos Ogryn, and I've not played against that many bloodied people in tournaments, but I have played against bloodied. But I don't think I've ever taken the Chaos Ogryn, so maybe now he'll get taken a little bit more. Also, there's nothing on his card to say he can't benefit from equipment. So previously in the old version of Kill Team, he couldn't take equipment. Now, obviously, people don't take equipment, but he doesn't have any negative about working with equipment at all. So that's a good thing. So some slight buffs to the Chaos Ogryn. I think whether or not he's taken in lists is going to depend on how you build, how many slots he takes up and how he's competing with other stuff, I guess. Felgor Ravagers. Frenzy, again, mostly unchanged. Frenzied goats can open hatches on into the dark. So there seems to have been a big push, I guess, in the design of Kill Team now to make it so that, generally speaking, you can open a hatch. Generally speaking, you can't get locked in a room. So that's important. Otherwise, I'll save you reading the whole thing. There's no other changes to Frenzy. It is as you remember it. In terms of the Warpaint was if people didn't know, Warpaint was usually taken a lot by Felgor Ravager players. It used to be it prevented you from your move stat from being reduced when you were injured, and it also prevented you from having any APL modifier of any kind. Now it just lets you ignore the change to the move stat, but you do take it once, and it lasts for your entire team, so it's probably an auto take for Felgor Ravager players, to be perfectly honest with you. Violent Temperament, totally unchanged. And in terms of the data card, we've got the card for the Felgor Death Knell. Obviously he has a pistol, so he's got the pistol range buff, which I'm sick of talking about. But once again, it's 8 inches, and there's no 8-inch tool in the box, Games Workshop. Anyway, I won't go into it again. Now, this guy's thing is he's an icon bearer, And icons do the usual thing of giving you +1 APL for the purposes of holding an objective. But now he's been given an extra exclusion in his icon bearer rule that means that he isn't affected by the part of Frenzy. That means you only count as 1 APL for standing on an objective when you're frenzied. So this guy can now count as a massive 3 APL on an objective even when he's frenzied, which is pretty cool. It sort of cements him as a useful objective holding man, even when he should be dead. And to stop him from getting frenzied, his Gong Knell ability has been buffed. So Gong Knell gives you a 3-up invulnerable save, which it still does, which they had to write that out. One of the few things where they've had to write it in a more wordy way, because invulnerable save isn't a concept in Kill Team anymore. It's now improve the operative save stat by 1 and ignore the piercing weapon rule, which is, yeah. So it's the same as having a 3-up invulnerable save. But crucially, that now lasts until his next activation, rather than leaving at the end of the turning point. So your Felgor Death Knell can now hunker down on an objective, gonging his gong, keeping himself safe, trying to score you those points, which is pretty cool. Chaos Cult. So Chaos Cult have a lot of rules, not a lot of changes. So in terms of the mutation rule, I read it really carefully. You can mutate 2 cultists on turning point 1 instead of just 1 cultist. Otherwise, it doesn't seem particularly changed. There is no mention of the Demigog's ability. So in the previous version of the rules, the Demigog's ability was written out in the mutation section as well. So the Demigog's ability might be unchanged. They might have decided they just need to put it on the Demigog card and not repeat it anywhere else, which is fine. Accursed Gift seems totally unchanged as well. I know they only show us 2, but they do say in the text of the article that there are 6 possible gifts. So, and the 2 they show are unchanged, and none of the text about how you get them is materially changed either, so that's fine. Exaltation in Pain, which is a strategic ploy they already had. Now, this used to be you can't be injured, and whenever you're shooting a friendly Chaos Cult operative that's wounded, it is what it is now. It has to be wounded to reroll the defense dice. It used to say less than starting number of wounds. I'm not sure if no, it's the same. I'm being stupid. They've just used the phrase wounded to mean less than starting number of wounds, and I've transposed wounded and injured in my head, which is one of those really interesting things about how the game's actually easier to read now, but if you're trying to remember the old rules, you'll confuse yourself. No, it's exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Baleful Script is a new piece of equipment, so I'll read that one in full. Baleful Script. Once per battle in Strategic Gambit. Change one of your accursed gifts. Note that if it's an accursed gift an operative has from the Abhorrent Mutation Firefight ploy, only that operative benefits from this. Now, a couple of problems with this. So, you pick your accursed gifts anyway, so you're in charge of picking them. So you'd have to pick one and then be like, oh, bother, it's the wrong one. You can only change it once, and it's using one of your very valuable equipment slots, right? Would you rather have the ability to choose a gift wrong and then have to change it, and know somehow that you were going to make that mistake and take this as a piece of equipment before the game, or have some crack grenades or smoke grenades or something else? It just seems like a really, really lousy piece of equipment. Maybe I am missing something, but what it does tell us is that the Aberrant Mutation is still going to be a thing. So Aberrant Mutation is a tactical ploy that lets you have an extra mutation on a particular model, so that's cool. And we see a data card for the Blessed Blade. So, big weird change on the data card. The Blessed Blade is a figure from Warhammer 40k. I mean, look, there's no kit, there's no kill team box for these guys, so it's a surprise to me that they're part of the game still, but you have to buy the Chaos Cult. What's it even called? A Chaos Cult command box that has your leader and your sorcerer and your banner and these 2 Blessed Blade guides in. And it's a 40k box. And in 40k, these 2 swords guys are both supplied on 28mm basis. But the card here now says in the bottom right hand corner there, 32. So I'm going to assume it's a typo. And you don't need to even though you're buying the most pain-in-the-ass kill team in terms of the number of boxes you have to buy, you've then got to find some bases that are too big and put these guys on the wrong bases. Like, I don't think that's what they want. I think this is going to get FAQ'd. I think he should still be on a 28mm base, but just to flag that up that is there, that they seem to have put him on a larger base as far as the card's concerned. Probably just somebody glanced at the base and went, that looks like a 32 to me, and it's not, it's a 28. Yeah. The only other thing on here that's new is when you read cut them down, it's got this clause at the bottom. If the enemy operative is within control range of 2 of these operatives, you inflict 2d3 plus 2 damage instead. So it might have already worked that way before. It might not have done it, but it didn't explicitly say it, so now it does. So now it definitely works that way. So that's pretty cool, because 2d3 plus 2 is, you know, potentially all your wounds, right? Which is pretty nice. And that's it. Gosh, I've only been talking for about 11 minutes. A bit of a light touch on these. So it's 2 things. First of all, there's only like 4 teams. 3 teams? 4 teams? 4 teams. Blooded, Chaos Cult, Felgor, and... is that it? Have I only had 3 teams to talk about? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Wow. So only 3 teams. And also, they're not teams that I love, to be fair. I've never actually played any of them. You know, Chaos Cult, like, I don't like Horde team. Don't ask me why. I am in the process of, you know, this is because the my subscribers egg me on to do it, right? So I'm doing some Brood Brothers, and I'm making a full, like, well, I would say a full roster of 20. I'm just making 20 Brood Brothers now because the roster isn't a thing. But I don't generally like Horde teams. So Chaos Cult didn't really appeal to me, right? The Felgor are really cool in terms of their rules, but the miniatures don't appeal to me. And the, like, the Blooded are cool, but I just, like, Brood Brothers are cooler now. At the time, there was lots of, like, the Blooded are a team that I might have done. I think part of the problem with the Blooded is when they came out in that box, my wife was like, I'm going to do those. She never did, but she said she was going to. So they became one of her things. But these just aren't teams that I ever played. So anyway, the plan for tomorrow is we'll catch up with the Eldar teams, unless I don't know anything. I'm not a person who knows things, which is, you know, but I strongly suspect that we're going to see the Sunday preview on Sunday for Kill Team. So what will happen if that happens is I'll make a video instead, just because I'm expecting we might see a few more products apart from just the Hivestone box. So I'll talk about the Sunday preview. And then we'll see the Eldar on Monday instead. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and you learned something. Probably not, because other content creators have already covered all this ages ago, but I cover it slightly differently. You know, other people aren't so interested in comparing to what the rule was before and focusing on what's changed, and you know, hopefully you can consume everybody's content and gain something unique from each piece of it. That would be ideal. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. We're closing in on 2,000 subscribers. It was pointed out to me before in the comments, which is pretty cool. So please consider subscribing. And a lot of people have left comments like, oh my gosh, you deserve more subscribers. I'm not sure that's true. But if you think that's true, the way you can make that happen is by sharing the video. Just tell people, hey, Table to Impulse, that's cool. Just drop my name, comment sections on Reddit, wherever you are, wherever you happen to be, in your gaming group. Word of mouth, really important. Okay? I want to say a massive thank you to all my members. That's the people who financially support me every single month, right here via YouTube. You know, so you don't need to go off to Patreon or anywhere else. It's right here on YouTube. If you want to become a channel member, if you click the join button, it doesn't take the money from your account straight away. There's a whole extra video and some explanation of what you get and what you don't get. The main thing that you get, members only videos now and again, but all the live streams we do on a Wednesday, you can go back and you can watch all the video on demands, all the pre-recorded live streams. They're all there for you as a channel member as well, so that's a big advantage for that. If you like that kind of content, some people will, some people won't. I had a comment the other day that said, thank you for being concise, which, given that I've now spoken for about 5 minutes on irrelevant noise after doing a 10-minute video, is a rare compliment for me. I never strive to be concise. Alright, thank you guys, hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye, 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 goodbye, bye, bye.